everybody. So I wanted to do a special review, separate from my monthly movie reviews, about a special film that I just was able to see today called Freetown. And this is a movie that is made with the audience of members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, in mind, but I think it has a broader appeal. I think that anybody of faith, and I think even people not of faith, will find it inspirational and something that's worth them seeing. I did a video a couple of weeks ago about why I feel like it is very difficult for Christian films to receive good reviews from a lot of critics, because the experience of conversion is something that's very difficult to put on screen in a way that doesn't feel cloying and preachy to people that haven't had that experience. It's very, very hard. And so you have mostly critics who don't have that shared experience for the most part, or at least not fervently so, or they wouldn't be able to watch a lot of the movies that they review. And so you have them coming in and having a hard time, I think, dealing and relating to those conversion experience stories. So I feel like this movie is about as good as it's going to get. I feel like it's about as good a Christian / Mormon / faith-based film that they're going to see. So if critics don't like this movie, I really feel like they're not going to like any movies about faith, because it's really actually kind of I would say it's more secondary than a lot of other movies about faith, certainly more than like Do You Believe or God's Not Dead. It's just these characters happen to be missionaries who have faith, but I think the story is compelling and interesting enough, even without that element, that, and I just don't feel like it's that heavy-handed. If you find this preachy and over the top, then I think it's just not the genre for you. It's about, it's set in 1990 in Liberia, and it is a war-torn region of Africa. And there are two different sides: ruling class, a racial class called the Kron, Krahn, and then there's a rebel class, and the rebels are basically shooting and killing any Kron that they find. And it's actually a pretty violent movie. Like, it's not one I would recommend for children, that's for sure. There's a scene where people are just shot. There's even an old woman who the guy asks, the rebel soldier asks, why are you crying? And she says, it's no shame to cry. And he shoots her. I mean, it's pretty intense stuff for a Mormon film, I felt like. And it's definitely, there were a couple times when I had to close my eyes and look down because it was pretty intense. And so there's these missionaries that are there in Liberia, and some of them are actually Kron. This church member named Abu Bakar, and he's played by Henry Adolfo. He's been a member for 5 years, and he has strong faith, but he's also a very practical person. And the missionaries are very young, they're very idealistic, and they are also very confused about when it is okay to lie, when it's okay to, when you should declare the gospel, when you should be quiet, all of those things. But he's this very practical man. But he knows that he has to get these 6 missionaries out of Liberia to Freetown in Sierra Leone, or they will be shot. And so he and the missionaries pile into his little red car, and it's a compact car. They have 4 of the missionaries in the back. They have 2 in the front seat, plus Abu Bakar, and in the driver's seat, obviously. And they're piled in kind of like a clown car. And this poor car goes through just horrible roads. They have to go through these different stations. There's a lot of tension because a rebel leader is kind of on their tracks trying to follow them. It's very tense. and whether they'll get through each station, whether they'll be able to get fuel, then to be able to continue on the journey. And then once they get there, it's very tense. And are they going to be able to get into Sierra Leone? And I just thought it was great. I was really moved by it. I thought it was so true to actually like the way that missionaries are and the way that they would be. The fact that, every time they stopped, they would give out pamphlets and they would share the gospel. And that's so true. That's just the way the missionaries would be. And I think that people that might say, oh, that's over the top, like it's actually not. Like that's actually what would happen. I served a mission. I've never had anything like this happen, thank goodness, but I just know that that's exactly what they would do. And just their optimism but also their fear and their courage and just all of that I thought was just totally right, exactly what I think would actually happen if missionaries were called upon to go on this kind of journey. And Henry Adolfo was great. He was so like real. He had faith, but you could see his frustration. You could see his fear. Like he was just a very, very good performance. And I thought that the elders were pretty good. You could definitely tell they were new to acting. Like they weren't as good, but I didn't feel like they were so bad that they took me out of the movie. I felt like they were okay and, kind of good enough. Sort of like the men in Captain Phillips, the Somali pirates, it was like, maybe they weren't like the greatest actors ever, but they did a good job. And so I kind of felt that way. And it's beautifully shot. It's really tense. The music is really good. It's moving. It's inspiring. I really, really loved it. I would give it an A+. I thought it was great. And I think that you don't have to be Mormon to like it. I really, really do. And so I'd be very, very curious. If you can hunt it down in your community, go see it. And let me know if you think it is maybe too heavy-handed on the kind of the Mormon doctrine, or you felt like you could relate to it even if you aren't Mormon or you aren't Christian or whatever it might be. I would be really curious to know, because from my perspective, I thought, boy, I think this is really, really relatable to anybody. This is just a really good, gripping story. But, it's hard because I'm kind of in that group and I served a mission. And so it's something that is so like a part of me that of course I felt connected to it and I was drawn into the story. So it's hard for me to say, but that's why I really would be curious. If you do get a chance, go take a look at it. And I think that you'll really be inspired by it and you'll really like it. So like I said, it's definitely intense. It's definitely scary. It's not for little kids. And but I think it's definitely worth seeing. So let me know if you see it. I would love to know. And please subscribe to my channel and I'll talk to you later.